Hello, we're going to learn how to make Lebanese bread today. And so I've got the ingredients on this sheet and I'll make a video of it. We'll put it on so that you can see what we're doing. But I want you to take a look at what we have here. We have 8 cups of flour that's in this mixer. And we have a half a stick of butter that we have melted. And we've got 2 eggs. And we've got 1/6 cup of sugar. And also a half a cup of lukewarm water. This is what we're going to do our yeast with. So I want to start with the yeast, by the way. We put the sugar in the water, and before, excuse me, should have had a spoon out. Before we put the yeast in, we try to stir up the sugar so it melts. Now it's very important that you do not stir after you put the yeast in. If you could put this video on this real closely. You see how this yeast is? I had a friend that tried to make bread and it never worked out for her, and she didn't know why until one day we worked together. And then she said, well, she started stirring it, and I went, "Oh, what are you doing?" She says, "I always stir my yeast." I said, "That's the reason why your bread doesn't rise." So if you want to put the camera close to here, this has to sit for 10 minutes until it starts rising. And when it starts rising after 10 minutes, then we can put it together. You can mix this by hand the old-fashioned way, just knead the dough. But what we have is we've got a mixer that we can do it. And so the ingredients that I'm giving you here is really based upon a half of a bag of 5 pounds of flours. So we have 8 cups of flour. We are going to put in here, we had a 1/2 stick of butter that we melted. We're going to, Ella, if you want to come over here, sweetheart. This is my granddaughter, such a lovely girl. And I'm putting 2 eggs in here, and I'm going to give you a fork, Ella. If you would just beat those eggs in that cup. Meanwhile, we'll set aside our yeast. Very good. Now, if you want to put it right in here in a pocket. Ella, over here. Okay, so, and then what we'll do is just pour that egg and butter mixture right in with the flour. Very good. Okay, so we're going to add some salt, and the salt that we have is a tablespoon of salt. Okay, so that's a tablespoon of salt. And then we want to put a pinch of baking soda. So let's grab a pinch. And what do we have? We have some yogurt. What I've done, we call it Leban, but we are using the plain yogurt, not a flavored yogurt. And we're going to put about, let's see, 1.5 cups of yogurt in here. So there's 1 cup. And then we'll put in, about another half. Now we're going to probably be adding things off and on to make sure the consistency's right. But before we add our yeast, we have to wait a little bit more. You can see it's beginning to rise. You don't want to have real hot water, just lukewarm water so it doesn't kill the yeast, and do not stir it. Okay, so let's just wait. Okay, so our yeast is about ready. See how it's got a little bit of a rise to it? So we're going to put it into our flour and all the other ingredients that we have. And we're going to turn on our mixer. We'll put it on up and start it out slow. Okay. So what I've done is I've warmed up some milk so that I could start adding some milk into it so that we get the right consistency. of milk. It looks like it just needs a little more fluid in there. Getting close. Okay, it looks like it's pretty much the right consistency, but now we've got to keep kneading it until it becomes very smooth. All right, it looks like it's pretty smooth. Take a look at this dough. I'm going to stop it now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this out. I'm going to put it in a bowl. And I'm going to then get the other half of the bag of flour, put it together with this, cover it for about an hour or two till it doubles in size. Put it something under a light, warm, and it'll double in size, and then we'll be able to go on. Okay, it's looking pretty smooth now. So what we're going to do is we're going to stop it. We're going to take it out. Now we're going to add it to the other flour that we made. We used a whole bag, 8 pounds of flour, 5 pounds of flour. I want to just take it out of here, add it to that. And if you can see how much we have here, we're going to cover it with a warm towel. I'm going to microwave this towel a little bit. I'm going to put it underneath. Put a light on here. I'm going to put my warm towel over it. And you see how much flour there's there? Okay, so we'll come back in a little while. It has to double in size, and we'll see how long it takes, and we'll see it be up into this area. Okay, well, let's take a look at our dough. It looks like it's doubled in size, and I have to let you know that what I've been doing this whole time, it's been maybe an hour, maybe an hour and a half the most, but I've been taking the cloth off, putting it in my microwave, warming it up for about 30 seconds, and then taking it out and putting it back on so that I kept my dough warm. That way it could rise. Okay, so here we have our dough. Let's go over this way. And what I'm going to do is do the second phase of making Lebanese bread. I'm putting some flour on the counter. Of course, you make your counter very clean. And just put some flour out. Take your dough out. And now we're going to make little balls. I just take it and I wrap it underneath like this, tuck it, and make it round. And so I'm going to make several of these rolls. Put some flour on it, tuck it underneath. It's easier when you put some flour over it in your hands. Roll it. And I'm going to make layers of these. I'll make them about this size. And we're going to go through the second phase of rising the dough. Roll it. And what I do after I make a few of these, I continue to cover them with a warm cloth. So what I'll do is I'll continue this process, and then when I get so much done, we'll come back. Okay, so now I have finished my first row, and I warmed my towel up again, and I'm going to cover this row up with the warm towel and start another row. We just want to keep it warm. Okay, we're back again. I wanted to show you what we have here. We've got our little roll balls of dough all ready to go. You can see how these have puffed up a little bit again on the second time. I rolled these first. So I'll start at that end. I put my oven on, if you want to come over here and look, I put my oven on at 550, and I put in a nice pan that I can stick my dough on there and it won't stick. And I got my little spatula to pull them out. It's kind of like a big spatula. I got a bowl here to put my bread in once I get them done. So I'm going to put some flour on my counter. Now this part's really important. I want to show you. I'm going to take out a few. Probably won't do more than 5 at a time. But this part is important. I'm going to start using my fingers to just go on the outside of the dough. I'm not digging my fingers in it. I'm just doing it on the outside and sticking it like that. Putting them on, turning it, just turning it, putting it on the outside. The center I'm leaving go. Okay? Turning. I'll do 4 at a time here. Okay, so I've got a few here. If you have to turn it over to get the stickiness off, that makes it a little easier to do it from the outside. Just turn it over a bit and then you can turn it. Okay, so I've got a few done here. Now, what I'm going to do is take my rolling pin and go from the inside out. Inside out, to make them as round as possible. Okay, so we go from the inside out. Okay. So as you see, when I finished rolling these, I brought some others out and got them ready for the next roll. So I'm going to take 5 of these. I'm going to open up my oven and I'm going to stick them on my, well, this is really a cookie sheet, but it's a kind that doesn't stick. So I'll put my light on and I'll watch it rise. Nice. Like that? Try to make it as round as possible. You can turn it over and get some more flour on it. Mm-hmm. Okay, we're going to take a look and see what we have here. Okay, it looks like they've pretty much raised up. They're not quite brown yet, but I'm going to take them out and probably raise them, put them on a higher shelf. These still look pretty doggone good. Look at this bread. Awesome. Okay, let's put in our next batch. Okay. All right. Let's get our next batch in. I can do one more. Okay. Things are coming along well. All right, we'll get these out of the oven. Okay. As I bring them out, I put one on top of the other so that they can cool down. Okay, girls, well, how do you think it was making that bread? Was it hard?
I think once you got the hang of it, it was pretty easy.
Yeah.
And I let you do all the rest of the rolling and the putting in the oven, and
Yeah.
so you did a good job. So anyway, well, that concludes our video on the Lebanese bread. So let's move on to another Lebanese recipe.